Sit back and relax as today's program guides you through all things pop culture and the deepest corners of the internet. Warning, may cause brain rot. Hello, brain rotters. Welcome back to my podcast. I'm your host, Maya V. Henry, and I'm excited for another edition of Brain Rot. Before we jump in, I just want to remind you guys that we are available on all streaming platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, everything, everywhere, all at once. So if you are driving or doing any activities, make sure you tune in with audio only, just for your own safety. I also want to give a big shout out to everyone who's been joining the YouTube membership program here on my channel. We are all brain rotters together. There's a lot of exclusive content coming your way. I'm going to be doing monthly movie streams with you guys and lots of other content as well. And you get access to exclusive emotes. The link to join my YouTube membership is down below. There's different tiers with different costs for every tier, so there is something for everyone. Now let's jump right into it. I feel like there's so many hot topics happening in the world right now. One of them, of course, is the P. Diddy stuff. I don't want to go too deep on this. I'm not, the right person to do an investigative journalistic approach to the P. Diddy scandals and the atrocities that were committed, the baby oils, the blah, blah, blahs, all the rumors and conspiracy theories. I feel like people are just running with everything for clicks these days. But one of my favorite trends to come out of this, which is almost a little bit tacky to say, but the whole Beyonce stuff on TikTok is literally sending me. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, so basically P. Diddy has been running this horrible trafficking ring and he's currently in jail. All of this is alleged. All of this is stuff that's been coming out, investigations from the FBI, and he is connected to the most powerful people in Hollywood and in America and probably the world at large. And namely, some of those celebrities include Jay-Z and Beyonce. So a lot of people are saying that a lot of celebrities are thanking Beyonce because they're afraid of getting murked by her when she sends P. Diddy after them. And it's just this hilarious inside joke that the internet has. And so people are sharing all these TikToks with these funny captions. One of them is, Beyonce, when I forgot to thank her for letting me use my rose toy. There was a sequence with Dua Lipa at the Grammys. She knows, and I know she knows, and I know she knows. And she had to smile because Beyonce was sitting behind her. All the people thanking Beyonce in their speeches because otherwise...
I also have to say thank you to Beyonce, just so that way we keep the dance community safe. Everybody, Beyonce, you got great music.
The vibe is so funny, and it's obviously a little bit inappropriate because it's a very real situation that's happening with P. Diddy. But I think we're at the age in our internet culture and our brain rot where we can just laugh at these things in tandem while also having very real horror at the atrocities that P. Diddy has created. In other news, we have a very real natural disaster crashing on the shoreline of Florida as we speak. Hurricane Milton has been on my brain. I don't know why. It kind of has been frightening me. I know that the news cycles tend to overinflate certain things, but it's always better to be safe than sorry. And I think people hopefully were able to evacuate in time. Obviously not everyone. I saw that it was recently reduced to a Category 3 hurricane. So if all of our brain rotters out there could keep Florida in your prayers and hope that everyone is safe and hope that the hurricane peters off and isn't as destructive as predicted. I think back all the time to different natural disasters that have happened throughout my lifetime, most of them happening when I was a kid. I remember when Hurricane Katrina hit and, New Orleans was underwater, and communities still to this day are affected by what happened then, and it's so atrocious, so scary. And one of the ones that really, really stuck in my mind, like a natural disaster that just was completely devastating, was the tsunami, I think of 2004, I want to say. It was either 2004 or 2002. And it happened in Thailand. It happened in that area, was it the Indian Ocean? I'm not 100% certain. But I remember that it created the most insane tsunamis. The footage that we have from that is completely unreal. Hundreds of thousands of people died. It was the most devastating thing. And those type of things really terrified me as a kid. I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but Whenever you would hear about natural disasters, I feel like you would fear as a kid them happening to you because it's so out of your control to be able to save yourself, you know? And I would see footage of these huge tidal waves just crashing into cities and plowing over buildings and cars, and it was just so terrifying. And I remember specifically hearing about one story of a woman who was holding her two kids, and she had to decide which one to hold on to and which one to let go of because she couldn't hold on to both. They would have all died. And that is just like one of the worst things I think a mother could ever have to choose to do. And it's very much giving like Sophie's Choice. It's absolutely abhorrent. And I think it's a reminder of our own mortality, how lucky we are to be in safe zones, and you know, what's happening around the world. It's very real, and we as human beings can fight amongst ourselves and cause all of these internal conflicts and these wars and these problems and bicker and squabble over, you know, very human problems. But at the end of the day, Mother Nature comes for us all, and we cannot control her. Now, I wanted to get to the heart and the meat of today's podcast, which is 10 ways that I'm rebranding myself before 30. This is meant to be kind of an inspirational podcast and a little bit of a goal-setting journey for myself, because I have 30 just on the horizon. Next July is my big 30, and there's a lot of things I want to get under wraps and in control and really tame and rebrand about myself, which I think is honestly a good thing. It's good to be mindful and good to be aware of the things that, you know, you maybe want to strive towards rather than just coasting through life and not really putting your best foot forward. We all have different slumps we're going through. We all have different obstacles, and we all come from different backgrounds. So I've summarized 10 very general but very important and also pretty specific things that I think would also inspire you guys as well to rebrand and reset yourselves for the best course in life. So number one on my list is very foundational for the well-being of all of the other things on this list, and that is correcting my sleep cycle. I am someone who is an entrepreneur. I've been doing my own schedule and my own work for many years now, and I don't have anyone keeping me accountable and telling me to wake up at 7 a.m., head out on the train by 7:30 or 8 a.m. and get into my job and clock in at the office. I don't have that sense of routine, and it's really thrown me for a loop over the past couple of years because I never feel better than when I'm up early and being productive and getting work done. And so I'm a little bit disappointed in myself the past few years, just in terms of how my sleep schedule has affected my productivity and my mental health and my self-confidence. So one of the things I want to strive to do going forward is going to bed before 12 a.m. and making sure I'm getting my 8 to 9 hours of sleep every single night. And that will set me on the right path to not only be energized, but have routine and to wake up early and get shit done. Sleep is so important. It not only affects your productivity and your learning and your capabilities, but it also affects your physical appearance. It affects your endurance, your energy when doing physical activities. It is really one of the foundational elements of life. And if you are depriving yourself of sleep and of that schedule that you need in order to even get proper sunlight every day, then you are going to end up in a depression, and it's not going to help you. It's only going to add more stress to your life. So that's definitely my number one. Number two is making daily lists and schedules, setting goals and having routines, but manifesting it in a very tangible, physical way with actual lists. I recently just started writing out my weekly planner. Every day, what I want to get done by the hour, wake up at 7 a.m., walk Leo, have breakfast, answer emails, go to the gym, come back, film a podcast episode, do more emails, plan content, you know, all these things that I feel like sound easy to just say out loud, but we forget if we are just in charge of our own time. And so I'm really manifesting the amount of productivity to come from my full scheduling. It's so important to have an idea of how you want your week to turn out, have your goals, and have different deadlines set for yourself, because when I was growing up in school, I would have an agenda, and you're taught that in order to organize your life, to get your homework done, you write things down in your agenda, and writing them down will remind you that you need to get them done. Because how many of you are like me, where you have all these things you know you need to get done, but your brain is like a scrambled lump of yarn, and you can't untangle it because you didn't lay out the yarn first, so that you can be aware of each separate strand, accomplish each one at a time, and not just take all of those strands, crumple them up, and throw them in your backpack, because, you know, that's just never going to work. We're going to be confused. We're going to be overwhelmed. We're going to have to do just as much time detangling the yarn as we will placing it out and resolving it, whatever those tasks may be. And so I find that reverting to that childlike state of having an agenda lifestyle, having the day planners, and really being able to check things off on your list throughout the day is so important. And another important facet of making lists is also planning out meals. I'm someone who can tend to be overwhelmed when it comes to thinking of things on the spot, and then I end up cooking for way longer than I should have during my workday, because I have this mindset where everything has to taste delicious, everything has to be gourmet, otherwise it's not worth making. And then sometimes I just don't eat at all because I just didn't have anything planned, and I look in my fridge and I just see a bunch of ingredients but no meals, and my brain just isn't in that mindset to be like, okay, I'm gonna make this with these ingredients, and I just shut my fridge door and walk away, you know, not good. But when I actually take the time to plan out my day and say, okay, then I'm gonna have a lunch break at this time, I'm gonna eat tomato bisque soup and a grilled cheese with dates in it. And it's like, I know I have those ingredients, and I just took a minute on the Sunday night to be able to think, okay, what's in my fridge, what's in my cupboard, what can I do, you know? And I think that's so important, because now I have a full roster of things I know I can make throughout the week, and things that I actually look forward to eating, rather than just scrounging together random bits because I didn't have time to think of anything beforehand. That brings me to my third rebranding thing that I'm doing before 30, and that is simplifying my cooking and meal prepping. And it's so important, because if you're going to be productive and live a fast-paced lifestyle, you can't be worrying about every single meal that you're making. If you are able to meal prep things like making large tuna salads, or, you know, making, I don't know, overnight oats, baked goods, like anything that you're batch cooking and you can eat throughout the week is so important, because then you don't have to worry so much about cooking. It can take up so much of your life. Cooking and cleaning are my biggest pet peeves of taking up time. If I can find ways to expedite those, then I can focus on the things that matter, like my work, like my relationships, like my extracurricular activities and hobbies, and just living life. We don't want to be worrying about cooking and cleaning 24/7. We're not housewives in the 1950s anymore, ladies and gentlemen. We need to focus on the things that really matter. Number 4 is something that's really important to me, because I haven't been good at this at all, and that is budgeting, side hustling, and diversifying my income. I might want to look for a new job soon. I'm kind of keeping my eyes open, because I miss the traditional sense of working for someone else, completing tasks for an organization, and working in a teamwork environment. I don't get a lot of that as a content creator on my own. It feels a little bit lonely, but on top of that, I miss the benefits and being part of, you know, a union, a collective that can help me afford the costs of dental care, afford the costs of, you know, just like maybe mental health care or a massage once in a while. I miss benefits. That's what I really miss, and I think it's so important to have benefits and to know that you can get medical things covered with insurance if you need them to be. And so that's one of the scary things of being self-employed. You just don't have that in your back pocket. So scary. But I also just want to get better at budgeting, because I don't have a lot of inspiration to make more money. I didn't come from a lot of money. I didn't come from a lot of financial education or background. And so I'm not used to making more money and buying more things and leveling up. If I feel like I can survive off of next to nothing, then that's exactly what I'm going to do, is have next to nothing and not really set goals to purchase anything more. And you guys know this by now. One of the things I really would like to buy one day is a car. I'd love the freedom to travel the open road, to go on road trips, to visit people, to do car vlogs, and to just have that sense of freedom, because never in my life have I ever owned a car or had that freedom, you know? And I'm almost 30, so it's something I would like to change going forward. I think it's so important. And I think budgeting would really help me with that, because I would be able to see more so what I'm accomplishing every month, what goals I want to hit, and how I can reduce any unnecessary spending that I'm currently doing. We all have those subscriptions, you know, that are just taking money out of our bank accounts. We need to really sit down, look at our credit card statements, and see where we can cut corners, because the economy is not being friendly to us right now. And I just want to be less afraid of checking my bank account and more accountable of making sure that all of the numbers are evening out and that we are progressing, and that hopefully I can start saving up for bigger purchases. Another important thing is diversifying your income, because I know a lot of people are working 9-to-5 jobs and it's just not paying enough. It's not covering the bills anymore. And if you can find alternative ways to make money outside of your 9-to-5, especially with passive income, then you are truly living the life of a king. I have dated people in the past who have set up commissions and things for different organizations or sales programs, and they have been able to receive monthly stipends from their affiliation, and it helps out in the long run. It's not something that I've ever mastered or ever really thought about before, but I think that I'm gonna do some research in the coming months and figure out if there's other ways that I can diversify my own income so that I don't necessarily have to sign up for a corporate 9-to-5 in the future. I'm gonna report back to you guys, but diversifying your income is really important, because you never know if your sole source of income is going to last forever. Even if you do work a corporate job, people are getting laid off all the time, especially in the tech industry lately. So you just always want to be one step ahead. Number 5 is identifying the issues in my life and finding solutions for them. I think when we go through our day-to-day lives and we're busy and we're kind of trapped in our own cycles and our own routines, we sometimes forget to self-reflect and think about maybe what is working and what isn't working. This whole list that I'm doing today is kind of a testament to identifying issues that I've had in my life, like my sleep cycles, like my motivation, like my self-image, figuring out the root of those issues and the healthiest way to tackle them and problem solve them, and to form a relationship to self and routines that can inspire you to get out of those mindsets. I think one of my biggest issues that I've struggled with is finding the next chapter in my career. I did launch this podcast, and it's been so refreshing to me and affirming to me that I am a creative person. But I always feel like I'm yearning for something more, and I feel slightly unfulfilled and have for several years now. And so I'm kind of identifying that as a major source of issue in my life, because when you're not fulfilled with your day-to-day life or your career or where you're headed, then you kind of lose sight of the big picture and you can be pretty depressed. You're like, what's the point of life? What's the point of it all? I'm just not really enjoying things, you know? And so that's why I've definitely had this mindset of searching for something a little bit more, a little bit different than what I'm currently doing, and wanting that deeper level of connection with my own passions. So I'm currently writing a short script for a short film. I'm looking for more work and a new job, maybe a little career switch moment, and just keeping my options open, because I know that I'm not 100% satisfied doing what I'm doing at the moment, and I'm trying to keep my options open. Number 6 is so important. Devaluing the impact of relationships and partnerships. There can be so many distractions when it comes to dating. It can take up so much of your time. I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely been a victim of that doom scroll on Bumble, on Hinge, on Tinder, on whatever the apps are, and you're swiping through. You can spend hours of your life just in one evening looking for your soulmate. And I think that I really put my best foot forward this summer and experimented. In some ways it was rewarding, but I think what I learned about myself is that I really seek deeper connection. It can be fun to just have flings once in a while, but I think overall, I don't want to waste my time as much. Like, let's say since May till now, I went on, let's say 10 to 15 dates or flings with people or whatever, like maximum, like, and that could mean like just having a drink and then saying hi, bye, you know. And none of them really worked out, unfortunately. Do I think that, you know, someone could circle back and maybe something in the future will change? Maybe. I'm keeping options open, but by and large, that's not really the case with these things. I find when it comes to dating, you either meet the person you know and it works out, or, you know, it's not going to work out, and that's kind of the way it goes, right? But I think if you don't have that foundation of accomplishment and happiness and success on your own, you're going to put too much value and worth into the idea of finding a partner and into idolizing someone when you meet them, or slipping into limerence. I don't know if you're on limerence TikTok like I am, but sometimes we can dream and wish our crushes are people that they're not. We can project onto them the perfection that we seek in a partner and not necessarily see them for who they truly are until several dates in, or until things don't work out, and then you can't stop thinking about them, and it's really toxic and not good, and it's not a healthy way to approach dating. And I'm not saying I do that all the time. I have had moments where maybe I was, you know, projecting a little bit too much and being like, oh my God, that guy would have been perfect if only this, or if I was this way different. And it's like, you can't think that way. There's literally billions of people out there on this earth, and you're gonna have moments with people that are amazing and they're gonna reject you. You're gonna have moments with people that they think you're amazing and you're gonna reject them. So it's just about compatibility and honestly a lot of luck. And I don't want to put that much energy into dating anymore, because I realize a lot of the things that are making me unhappy right now are not even related to dating at all. I might think, oh my goodness, I feel lonely. I thought I may be like engaged by now because I'm almost 30, but I'm not, and I'm still single. But guess what? Who cares? You know, people are getting divorced at 40, and you know, they thought they were with the love of their life for like 15 years. Like, thank God I'm not in that situation, you know? I would never want to get married and then have to get divorced later. Like, that would suck. But that being said, I think a lot of my unhappiness just comes from a lack of self-accomplishment over the past couple of years. And so I much rather would not be distracted by relationships and by putting self-worth into whether or not people find me attractive or desirable to date, and rather make friendships and build long-lasting connections with people that are so much deeper and more important than just having flings or one-night stands or drama with people, or, you know, the pressure of dating. There's something so unnatural about the apps, about how we see each other online. We judge each other in such a superficial way. We don't get to know one another, and then we meet up in person based on whether or not we thought the other person was effable, and then we sit and we chat with this unspoken pressure of, hey, we both decided we wanted to sleep with each other based on photos on an app, and now we're sitting across from each other and drinking our cocktails and doing whatever. And, you know, there's this huge elephant in the room and all this pressure, and it just doesn't feel normal or right or organic. It feels very, you know, modern age, techno, cyborg, you know, pseudo relationship weirdness. And I find it so inorganic, right? You don't really get to know each other one-on-one a lot of the time. That's not to say every single moment is like that, but it happens quite often. And I feel like it can devalue you as a person, because then you start quantifying your self-worth based on your photos, based on your affability, based on, you know, all of the things that you can list about yourself and market yourself like a product. And you lose the essence of who you are as a person and why the people in your life that are your friends, your family, and your loved ones really care about you, you know? So I think it's so important to center and ground yourself and not put too much value into dating. It'll happen when it'll happen. And for me right now, I don't really care that much. I'm not trying to put my emotional heart into every single interaction that I have with people. I am ready to lock and load myself into my career and focus on things that are just centered around long-term growth and not a zero returns on investment by just like chasing after partners. Not my vibe. I'm ready to be a workhorse, baby. Number 7 is reducing my social media consumption, which is kind of ironic coming from someone who's a content creator, right? But I recognize how toxic and how harmful and horrible social media is. I think it really happened for me during COVID. I was recovering from my downstairs surgery, as many of you guys know, and it was a months long recovery process of being bedridden and not really having, access to socialization because of COVID. And so I just religiously would scroll on social media, and that's when my addiction started, especially on TikTok. And it became so toxic. I could lose hours of my life in moments, what felt like moments, just scrolling on TikTok, unable to pull myself away, unable to step it back into the real world, just feel totally sucked in. And ever since then, I felt kind of trapped with social media, because not only do I do it for work, but I also, go on it for leisure. And sometimes it's hard to separate. Am I doing this for work or for leisure? And you end up spending way too much time on your phone. I never feel worse than when I've scrolled for hours and hours on my phone. The doom scrolling is horrible. So I am setting limits on my phone. I only want an hour and a half a day across all the social media apps, which is not very much for a content creator. And that is my limit for myself. I would much rather be socializing in person and building deeper connections with people. I would rather be going outside my front door. I'd rather be working on hobbies and doing things that are so much more important to me, because if you really think about it, you get this false sense of accomplishment when you're scrolling through Instagram or TikTok. You're seeing all these reels, you're getting life hacks, recipes, outfit ideas, song recommendations. All these overwhelming, overstimulating things are happening all at once in this app. The algorithm is targeting you specifically. It knows exactly what you want to see. It knows exactly how to hook you in and to keep you scrolling, which is so insanely toxic to your brain. It's like feeding drugs to an addict, and our brains become addicted, and the algorithm keeps feeding you that addiction, and you keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and you think you're doing something with your life, and you're not. You're really not. You are overwhelming your senses. You are not going to remember 99.99% of the things that you saw while you were scrolling during those hours. And in 10 years from now, it will have all been a huge waste of time, and that breaks my heart. And I have to keep reminding myself of that. But if we can limit ourselves to the amount of time that we spend, then we have to. If we can't limit ourselves to the amount of time that we spend, then we have to remove ourselves entirely. Now, number 8 is honing workouts and diversifying exercise classes and tracking my weight training. So I have been an amazing long distance runner, as you guys know. And before I turn 30, I really want to focus my workouts in a more specific way. I haven't really been targeting anything or doing weight training, and so I want to step into that. I just ordered some ankle straps so I can do some cable kickbacks. I really want to focus on building mass on my quads and my glutes. I tend to have skinny chicken legs, and I just want to even out my body a little bit more and tone and shape myself in ways that I think I can do naturally without surgical intervention. And that's kind of my goal. I'm actually going to measure myself. I'm going to track it for you guys. We're going to do this journey together. And I hope it inspires some of you to hit some of your fitness goals as well. I think as we get older, it's so important to remain fit, to eat healthy, and to increase our lifespan through wellness. Wellness is so important. I've seen people come and go from old age, and not even that old, people getting diabetes in my family and stuff like that. And I don't want to go down that pathway myself. I think we have so much tools at our disposal now, especially with social media. I know it's just like shitting on it, but when it is used properly, it can be a very effective tool. And I think wellness and exercise and all of that, the resources are abundant, and that is my goal. Number 9 is practicing self-love rituals and healthy boundaries. This one is something I'm a little embarrassed to admit, because, I'm on here trying to inspire you guys to be the best versions of yourself and to teach you guys to treat others with kindness and respect and to spread that energy around. But I'm also someone who's very self-loathing. I have low self-esteem moments, and I've struggled with them many, many times. I always like to blame myself and think that I've done something wrong if someone doesn't like me, or if, a relationship doesn't work out, or anything like that. If I don't get the job opportunity I want, or if, XYZ, I always blame myself. I think I have a lot of negative self-talk to get over. And I think learning to practice self-love rituals and remind yourself that you are just as valuable as anybody else on this earth, regardless of where you came from, regardless of where you're going and regardless of how you look. You deserve love, you deserve success, compassion, and empathy just like everyone else on this earth. Put out the kindness that you want to receive in return, and treat yourself with the kindness that you would treat others with as well, because no one is going to tear you down harder than yourself. You are the only person at the end of the day who can advocate for yourself and who can make sure that you get what you deserve. And learning to be a self-advocator and to stand up for myself has been a hard journey, because I definitely did not feel that way growing up. I did not have, an adult in my corner that was defending me as a queer child, or that was uplifting me and making me feel confident. I felt like I had a lot of internalized shame. A lot of queer children get bullied in school and treated like dirt. And I felt like I had to keep it a secret, because not only were there moments, at school where I was, looked down upon for that, but also at home as well. It just wasn't societally acceptable, right? And so when you don't feel like you have a safe space to go to, you can feel kind of lost and empty. So it can be really difficult, but definitely something I want to practice before 30 so that I can reach my most confident self. And one thing too is learning that just because certain people remove themselves from your life, or they don't respect you or want to be around you anymore at the capacity that you can offer yourself to them, it doesn't mean that you're not worth it. It just means that you're not compatible, You can't take everything personally, and you have to know that your company and your energy is very valuable. I've spent a lot of time leading up to 30 now setting new boundaries with people, and certain people just weren't able to meet my new boundaries. They weren't able to respect me or meet me halfway in friendship anymore. I realized that I had allowed people to walk all over me, to have me always meet them where they wanted to be met. And when I finally said no, let's meet halfway, and it was too much for them, then I had to realize this was not a healthy relationship for me anymore. And I had to respect myself ultimately and step away from those situations. Making healthy boundaries can be so difficult because you can have such love and long-term connections with people who ultimately aren't respecting your boundaries and can't respect your new boundaries because they're used to the give and take, being that you give so much and they take so much. And why would they want to change that? So when you say no more, it can be hard for them to adapt to that. And you have to recognize when it's no longer healthy for you to be in those situations. My final, last, and 10th way that I'm rebranding myself before 30 is that I really want to be thoughtful towards others, be kind, caring, and have acts of service. I want to be more compassionate and more thoughtful. I want to write down things that I know my friends like, or that they mention or they talk about, and I want to surprise them with gifts for it, Maybe you have a friend who's single and she's been going through a hard time. Buy her a bouquet of flowers and do that thing for her that no man has ever done for her. You know what I mean? Be that kindness that you want to see in the world. Treat others with just so much compassion, because we're all human beings going through things and struggles. And if there's one thing that I would like to be remembered for, it's kindness, classiness, and just being the kind of person that people want to be around, because your energy is so pure and because they know they feel safe around you, and you're not someone who's going to be shit talking behind their back. You're not going to be gossiping. You're genuinely a kind, nice person, and you uplift others and make everyone happy, because guess what? When you put that energy out, when you offer that support, you are going to get it in return. And if you're not getting it in return, you're going to be able to sit back and say, hey, I do all of this. I give all of this. And this person does not even reach a fraction of what I give out. In this relationship, I need a new boundary up, And you're going to be able to say, well, hey, I really put in an effort to be a kind, nice, compassionate person, and I want to be around people that are also going to be putting in an effort. You're just going to level up in every way. And leveling up to me is just finding a moment in time and in life where you reach that point where you're like, I'm really enjoying myself. Things are good for me. Things are going well. And to quote Kim Cattrall, I don't want to spend even an hour of my time where I'm not enjoying myself. You want to surround yourself with energy, people, opportunities that are going to uplift you and make you happy. So many people want to play the victim these days. And I was around a lot of that energy of like, oh, isn't the world a horrible place? Aren't, people terrible? Isn't there nastiness around every corner? Let's all be sad. Let's all sit around and mope for people. And I was in that, group. I was in that cohort, and I definitely tried to dwell in it and to wallow in it as a trans person. I was going around at the beginning of my transition being like, the average life expectancy for a trans woman is 32. 1 in 2 trans women will be assaulted in her lifetime. Like, you know what I mean? I was taking these statistics that were literally curated off of, sex workers that were trans women of color from a specific demographic of the world and using them to apply victimhood to my own self. And it was such a toxic cycle. And it puts you in a limited mindset thinking, well, at least I'm 33 now. I survived an extra year over. It's like, no, just live your life, be happy. Don't listen to these boxes that people want to put you in, and don't set these like victim expectations for yourself. You're not a victim. You're a survivor, a thriver, and you are resilient because you are here today and you can make anything happen with your life. You can be the most accountable for your own future. And the minute that you say the world is responsible for your future is the minute that you lose all control of your destiny, and you will never find true happiness. Because if you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to believe in your own future. And I think that's so important. But anyways, that's all for today's podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a little bit of a preachy self-help brain rot edition, but I think it's important to set these goals, and I hope it inspired you guys in some way to strive for excellence in your life outside of just, capitalism and whatnot, but also just spiritual, mental clarity, relationships in your life, and a sense of accomplishment, because we are all so capable. I sometimes look back and think, wow, I really came from the dirt. And, I am that flower that grew out of a freaking sidewalk concrete and refused to die and grew up into the sun and sprouted and blossomed. There is examples of resilience all around you, and use it as inspiration for yourself. Because no matter how broken you are, how bent you are still here. You still stand, you are still proud, and you are still yourself. And I think that is amazing. Sending you guys all my love, and I hope to see you soon. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. I am live almost every single day on here, getting ready, chatting, chilling. I have my Brain Rot podcast. We got the YouTube memberships if you want more exclusive perks like emotes and things like that. And yeah, we're just a positive vibe here. We are queer positive. We are everything positive. Just spreading kindness, and also just trying to level up in life and find what makes us happy. Aren't we all? I'll see you guys next time, and happy brain rotting.
Special thanks to Brain Rot producers.